You're listening to For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation.
Hello there.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of For the Republic, a love letter to Star Wars animation. We are all back here. It's been a minute. It has been a very hectic August, but now into September. Hopefully we'll be getting more episodes out because it's, at least for me, a bit more stable. But if you're watching this on video, you might notice, wow, you can see all of our faces for once. We're doing video. It's actually the three of us, and then Professor Hu Yang is here as well. How are you today, Professor?
I'm very good, thanks. I want to build more lightsabers, though.
All right, perfect. So I am joined today by, hold on, let me try to remember. Fuck, I forgot the intro that my friend was listening to the podcast the other day.
I'm the kid that always falls asleep.
Oh yeah, Jake is the kid that falls asleep. Don is the guy that does the impressions and has the good opinions, and I'm blanking on Conor.
I'm happy with those labels, quite frankly. I will take those labels.
Yeah, I'll take him. Maybe it was the guy that likes Depa. Oh, it was the guy that likes Depa Balaba.
Of course.
There we go. That makes sense. So today we're going to be talking about the Lurmen arc of the Clone Wars, of course, also known as the Aayla Secura episodes for Conor. And then we're going to be talking first about the D23 stuff and the trailers we got. And we actually got more than I thought we were going to. We got like nothing for Disney Plus Day because I think that kind of got overshadowed by something that happened in Don's area of the world. And then for certain, it's been pretty light heavy over here for sure. So I think we'll just start with D23 before we get into it, because I haven't had the chance to see it yet. Has anyone watched the Obi-Wan documentary? Because I have had the time.
I have not watched it yet.
I have seen most of it. I think I've seen around half of it, but yeah, it like from what I've seen so far, it's a lot of fun. It stirred a lot of emotions in me from what I've seen of it.
Every time I try to watch
really
it,
cool.
I get distracted.
I loved it because the volume stuff that they showed was great. Like, I mean, y'all know me, I hate the volume, but like, it looked awesome in this show. And then like, I realized now it's like, oh, some of the shots in Kenobi just look bad because whoever was on cinematography loved shaky cam for some reason.
Yeah, like I do get like some of that sentiment. I do overall like I like a lot of the cinematography, especially like with the Vader fight. I liked how
the last
I liked how a lot of it was close up.
That
and
moon.
Like,
I just want a name for that moon, man.
I want to know that moon. That moon is such a cool place for a duel. It just looks so epic. I love that place.
I love how in the doc too they specifically mentioned the setting that they chose for that battle. They wanted it impossible for either of them to be able to get the high ground.
That's
like they said that in the doc.
Oh my god, that's in there. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
I gotta watch this. I was gonna watch it last night, but I watched Fellowship of the Ring for the first time instead. So that was a life changing.
First time.
You have only
I have never seen
the Fellowship.
No, I have seen. It's so weird because I've seen the Hobbit movies, and I took a class on Tolkien, but I've never seen the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I watched it, and I was like, my life has changed. What a movie!
It gets better.
It gets better for sure.
That's what I hear.
Fellowship is an incredible movie, but like Return of the King, it's just like Return of the King is like legendary. Well, I mean, all three films for me are.
Yeah, not to spoil a 21-year-old movie, but I had always assumed that the Mines of Moria scene with Gandalf was like the last scene of the movie, and I was like, wait, no, there's another hour left. So that kind of threw me off. Yeah, I didn't watch it. I watched the theatrical cut. I didn't watch the extended version because I didn't
watch the extended ones.
Do not watch the extended versions for Return of the King because there's one specific scene that just like I will not say anymore.
Oh yeah, no. There you have to watch the extended version for Return of the King. blows my mind that they took the particular sequence that Connor is talking about out. But yeah, anyway, Star Wars.
No, there's a scene, well, like that spoils like something later.
Oh,
so
yeah, of course.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm totally blanking on
I was
what y'all
thinking
are
of it. I
talking
was
about,
totally
but-
thinking of a different scene.
I'm not going to mention it.
yeah.
Aragorn
Aragorn is my new man crush. That's all I'm gonna say. It's the hair.
Yes!
Aragorn rocks. Like
it's
Viggo
the hair.
Mortensen, he's so cool.
Legolas,
Is
like,
so
Yeah,
cool.
Legolas is something. Yeah.
I love Gimli as well, man. Like, he's just like an angry little guy who just loves like fighting orcs, and you know, I respect that. But like Gandalf is obviously the king for me. Gandalf rules.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The only problem with those movies is, of course, I watched them later than everyone else did. So, of course, I watched Stranger Things before I watched Lord of the Rings. So I just see Sam, and I'm like, ha 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 ha. You guys.
Look, it's that guy from the Goonies.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's Beaumont Kin.
Look,
I don't
it's
see
Supreme Leader
Beaumont Kin.
Snoke.
I only see him as the king.
It's Supreme
what's his
Leader
full name?
Snoke.
Fuck.
Precious.
Mary. I can't remember his full name in War of the Rings.
Meriadoc Brandybuck and
Yeah,
Peregrine Took. I think those are the names.
We refer to him as Beaumont Kin around here, sir.
No.
That's what we do. So D23.
D23.
Let's talk about that, because this is not a Middle Earth podcast yet.
This is a podcast about Star Wars.
Spin-off
So
podcast.
I guess we got 3 trailers. We got Andor, we got Mando Season 3, and we got Tales of the Jedi, which I thought they were all very, very good trailers. Andor to me is still like, the more and more I see of it, the more I'm like, this might be the best Star Wars show, like, period. Like, it
Y'all
just
see
looks,
those shots of the clones? The new
clones.
shots?
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Good. Everyone's still trying to like piece together like whether those are like Clone Wars flashbacks or if that's like Imperial era clones.
Thanks to a Black Series listing, I can confirm it's Imperial era. Because in the wide shot when they're storming down the street, there is this dude basically in like a black trench coat and fancy boots. That is a Black Series figure that just got announced, and it's called Dark Times Imperial Officer. So that literally has to be like in the days after Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Because I know like reference books said that like Cassian's family were like separatists. So maybe we'd see like the opposite side of the Clone Wars in here.
I feel like we're probably going to see the Imperial takeover of separatist worlds. Like, I think that
would be really cool. But I could also see Tony Gilroy just being like, no, and then just completely ignoring it.
That's what Tony Gilroy does.
Yeah, but like the show looks so good. Like, I'm just blown away. Like, all the new characters too, I'm so excited about. It's not just like Cassian and Stellan Skarsgård's character, who I'm blanking on the name, and then Saw Gerrera and Mon Mothma.
It's like Luthen something.
Yeah,
Luthen Rail,
something.
I think is his name.
Luthen Rail. Yeah,
but like it just
Luthen Rail. That's the name.
Excited, and it's.
Did y'all watch the Disney Plus Day clip?
I haven't seen it yet. No.
Oh, it's so good.
He has a Briar pistol. Andor has a Briar pistol. That gave me like such nostalgia because I
heard it's the same
so much of
footage they showed at the Rogue One screenings that I wasn't able to.
It was exactly the same, other than the trailer that they showed at the Rogue One showing was trailer 2 from last month, and then the Disney Plus Day special uses the new trailer that they released the same morning, but everything else was exactly the same.
I need to look up her name, but like that Imperial officer that's in all the trailers so far that seems to get a lot of.
Oh yeah,
Idra Miro, I believe is what Wikipedia says. She looks intense. Like, I am so excited for this show, and we have only a little bit left. I think is
9
it
days.
Next Wednesday. Yeah, so
yes,
9 days.
Yes, it is.
We will be the 3-episode premiere. So we will be doing our Andor recaps.
I'm skipping class that day. I don't care. I'm not going.
I took
to
off work.
I'm gonna have to hope that I am not scheduled, because I still have no access to my work schedule right now. So
Bucks.
Yeah, really. So yeah, let's hope, because we got long stuff to record. 3 episodes.
Oh my
We'll have to
god!
figure
Knowing
that
how
one
we
out.
function, that's going to be like a 6-hour episode.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to be very disciplined with that episode, I
we'll
sense.
But we're
also
not.
have to be like,
Also, I have to read out the Wikipedia entry, the Wikipedia listing for that Imperial officer. So her name is Dedra Miro, and she's literally just described as a high-ranking Imperial officer who does not like Andor.
she doesn't like him.
That's it.
Very, very helpful.
Well, I mean, at least we know that I'm guessing she's gonna be the main antagonist of the season.
I would think.
But I am
At
so
least for
hyped.
season 1.
Like,
Well,
it
yeah,
looks-
there's her and there's Cyril, played by Kyle Soller, who's from Poldark. You were like the first 2 seasons of Poldark, so he seems like another villain. He's appeared, I think, in the other trailers, and I think they also have an actor from Game of Thrones, the actor who played I can't remember the maester that succeeds Pycelle. Who helps? Yeah, but they have that guy. They've got Fiona Shaw as
they got
Martha, and
yeah.
I think her name is Andor as well. Like her surname is Andor. So she's related to Cassian. I think that last trailer confirmed through the subtitles. But yeah, like Andor just looks so good. Like it looks
great.
Well, we also
I
know
love how
from the
it's, like-
leaked the costume design sheet, they have First Order Security Bureau costumes.
Oh yes, ISB.
made.
Neat.
So I'm almost wondering if the chick from all the trailers, I already forgot her name. I wonder if she's going to be functioning through ISB in some way.
That would be
that would
neat,
be
especially if Callus somehow like showed up, because it would
Callus
sort of
or
track-
Yularen.
Oh, that would be that would
I'd
be
love
really
to see
cool.
I'd love to see Admiral Yularen. That would
I
be
don't know
really
who they
cool.
would cast as Yularen, but
I picture like Sam Elliott for some reason. Like it's a completely different voice than Tom Kane.
that would
but
kind
just,
of
like,
work.
The appearance.
I'd be kind of
It-
down for Sam Elliott as
Well, I
Admiral
mean,
Yularen.
Yularen was in A New Hope, so
He
we
was in A
have
New
a
Hope,
live
yeah.
action casting to sort of go off of. I mean, we're, I think, what, like 15 years? Or not 15, 10 years? Is that what it is? 10 years?
This is 5 years before Rogue
5
One.
years? Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's not that
and
big
then
of a gap.
the show is going to progress until the events of Rogue One. But no,
Yes,
I
like
just
season
love
2 is going to
Literally
cover
a few
like
days
4
before.
years.
Like Tony
Yeah.
Gilroy literally just told us. Like,
Yeah, he
the
said
ending
what
of-
the last shot is.
Yeah, he's like he's just going to be on the tarmac and he's going to meet Tvik. Like
Yeah.
this man's spoiled. This man's
this
like
man's just like, let me
spoiling
just tell you everything that happens in this
And you know
show.
what's insane is how much he's telling us about it and how little we actually know compared
Yeah.
to everything else that has released.
Because
Because
there's
there's
so
no
many
leaks.
episodes. There's so many episodes as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Now,
there
do
was
you
that
think-
report. There was
do you
that
think-
report about Obi-Wan. There was that rumor that Obi-Wan might appear in it.
I feel like that was just
I-
a rumor, though.
I
It's
call
so far-fetched. It's so far-fetched, but like if that happened, I would be
It's probably
like,
just
I don't
something to
see
throw-
Gilroy including him just because he's like, yeah, I don't fucking like Star Wars.
Yeah.
he's
Maybe
like-
they
he's
just
the
had to like
Harrison
tip,
Ford
like
of
be
Star
like,
Wars
oh yeah,
directors.
that's someone else, and then they like dub Obi-Wan like over
Yeah.
in like
They're like,
ADR.
all right, Tony, so we're going to put this random guy in the shot. Is that okay? He's like, I don't know who the fuck that is. Sure. And Ewan's just like, hello.
Hello there.
It would be perfect. But no, like I love the political thriller like aspect and like the spy aspect of the show like really intrigued me. It's the same stuff that like I was really hyped for with Secret Invasion. I mean, we're not going to be talking about the Marvel stuff, but like that was the thing that like overwhelmingly like I was excited about that they showed off for the Marvel stuff. It gave the same vibes for me, and I'm just so excited for this show. I think it's going to be great. My one question is, because it's going to be like longer, like episode wise, do you think it's going to be like kind of like She-Hulk length for the episodes, or do you think they're going to be like
the
Kenobi
runtimes
length?
for the first 3 episodes are all in between. I think they said it was 38 and 48 minutes. All 3 episodes are in between there. So on the shorter side, but like we're getting 12 episodes, so I'm not mad.
Okay. I'm just like
Yeah.
trying to picture like how long it's going to take for me to watch all of these episodes, and then we'll have to come on here and talk about them. But yeah, no, Andor
Yeah.
looks amazing. Before we get into the other ones, the one things that there's a couple things. First of all, Bad Batch officially got delayed. I think January 3rd or 4th is the
Fourth.
new 4th
2
is the new release
episodes.
date.
Yeah, 4th 2-episode premiere.
Why?
And now it's
Like-
going to cross over with Mando unless that
Yeah.
got delayed.
Well,
that's probably getting
it
delayed.
was February 2023. Now it's just streaming 2023. So Mando's probably getting pushed to
The
Celebration.
Hollywood Reporter did put an article out, and like maybe they just don't know, but they did say like February 2023. So
I feel like if Mando gets delayed, it's going to just be because of scheduling conflicts and not because of the show. Because from what we've heard, it's done. Like,
yeah, it's done.
other than
The only-
scoring, I think.
I think because I was watching, I don't remember who I was watching, but they were like, "Oh, I could see Mando getting pushed because Favreau might not want any like direct competition, like for Mando," which I can see. But like everything's getting pushed right now, and we know that like there's a lot coming, so that's gonna like
Push everything.
Yeah, who knew that pushing Andor back 3 weeks would just mess everything up like this? Because Bad Batch spring 2022, huh? Like that was the original date we were given. Almost a year later. And I'm guessing this was always when they expected Tales of the Jedi to come out. So they're like, all right, what are we gonna push, this or Bad Batch?
That was
like,
the original rumor, I think, that it was like fall 2022.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, so it's like, well, this we're gonna drop at once. Bad Batch is 16 episodes, so we'll push Bad Batch. I'm just like, I would have loved a Christmas release or just something like December, but it is what it is. January is it's fine. I'm kind of shocked. Like Obi-Wan, I thought season 2 was a long shot or at least something, but maybe it's still too early for that. I am surprised we got nothing Book of Boba Fett related. So maybe this means that we're not getting a season 2.
I think that's confirmation that the show's dead. Yeah,
I feel like that maybe is it. I feel like Boba Fett's probably just going to get folded back into the Mandalorian. Like he's probably going to show up in this season and like because we know Mando is going back to Tatooine, because
and we know they're pretty decent buddies, so it's like it makes sense.
I feel like they would have showed him in the trailer though if they were going to use him. Like they showed Bo-Katan.
Yeah, but I feel like they want to keep Boba's inclusion as like a surprise, maybe like to have, or maybe they will give Boba Fett a rest for the season because he's been kind of ever present really for the last he had a large role in season 2 and then fairly large role in season 2 and then had his own show. So maybe he will get a rest or maybe he'll be like a regular in series 3. This is probably a good time to talk about Mando, actually.
Yeah, we can transition to Mando. To me, I think this looks like it's going to be the best season of the show.
By far.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey!
That's it. That's
fucking Babu Frick. I want to punt that little motherfucker.
I have seen some people say that it's not Babu Frick, that it's just another Anzellan.
No, I don't think it is. Because there's the shot from the first trailer where there's 3 Anzellans.
Exactly. That's what made me think it's not Babu Frick. It's maybe his dad or like.
Yeah, I think that they're just turning them into like a mechanic race or something like that.
Which
like they're the new Jawas.
Yeah, that would be rather funny. Like maybe like a Jawa just like comes in while Mando is talking to the Anzellans and just like fumes because he knows he's
he
like,
punts them.
Out.
He's like, oh, what is this? I want to see Grogu. I want to see Grogu and Babu Frick getting a little fight.
Like Grogu wants to get involved in the fight, and Mando just like goes no, and then he's just like standing in the corner, like just doing that.
Could you imagine a Grogu puppet squaring up like?
Speaking of Kenobi, hold on, real quick. This is terrible podcast material, but.
I have my little Black Series 1 somewhere. I don't know where the hell she is.
Oh, it's still talking. That's kind of creepy. But yeah, no, I think the trailer looked really cool. I loved that shot of all the Mandalorians jumping out of that ship going onto Navarro. Like it looks so cool. I'm still like
I'm in the trailer. So
yeah.
Yeah,
you are in the trailer, yeah.
Are they gonna mess up Navarro? That's the worry, isn't it? Like, are they gonna like?
It's been getting too nice. It's
which is so sad. It's like if Navarro gets messed up, that will be so sad because like I love that they've had this kind of transition each season to it getting nicer and nicer. Because I thought that was Batu when I first saw the grainy leaked footage from Celebration. I was like, oh,
now there is
that's
still the rumor that Mando is going to Batuu, which I don't know if they just got that mixed up, if someone saw the leaked footage of Navarro, or if he actually is, because
that's probably it's probably mixed up because like there is the news that he's going to show up in the park actually.
Yeah, in the
like,
park.
yeah, like that's probably
they
what
already
it is.
Maybe that's why he is going to be in Batuu this season. I can see it happening. I'm wondering, like, do you think Bo-Katan's going to be like the villain of this season, or are they just going to be like tense?
No,
to be honest, I was worried about it, but now that I've seen the trailer, I'm actually a little bit more thinking that she will be. I think she'll be more of an anti-hero type, where she won't be completely sympathetic, because I feel like Jon Favreau is digging into more of her like origins as like a straight up villain, but at the same time, like she refers to like the Children of the Watch as a cult. She like literally she says to Mando, you know, your cult fractured our people. And so maybe what we're gonna get is more of a deep dive into like the Mandalorian history in between the prequels and the original trilogy, and we're gonna see just the harm that this kind of cult, this is the way ideology kind of wreaked on Mandalorian culture and helped divide them, which would be really cool. Especially because
deep dive.
No, that definitely feels like the route that they're taking, though, especially with like the stuff that the Armorer is setting up, and we know that she's going to be in the season more. So I feel like the Armorer and Bo-Katan are going to be like the two sides kind of tugging at Din, like to kind of get him to do what with Mandalorian, because like
devil,
he's the ruler of
one of them has horns on their helmet. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I know, but like I wouldn't necessarily say Bo-Katan's an
It's kind of like a devil and a devil, I feel like, because you have the cult leader or you have the other cult leader who used to be a terrorist who helped the good guys. And
and then you have in prison, you have Moff Gideon, who might also be trying to pull some strings in
well, we know he's coming back because Giancarlo was just like, "Oh, I'm doing more Mando stuff," and we're like,
and we also saw Conor
trying to hide him in
the
trailer, but
we also saw Conor in the trailer getting ready to break him out.
Conor and the big buff Imperial lady, I love her.
Like with way to bury the lead, dude.
Yeah, this must have been filmed last year then.
Yeah,
so
pre-detachment. So
I mean, you didn't tell us that you were filming the season, so I mean, you've done pretty well with. I
also thought that Katie O'Brien like died in the season 2.
Yeah, I thought she was dead.
I thought she was dead as well. I could have sworn she died. I like thought there like I think it was like I can't remember who shot like an Imperial officer that like dropped, and I thought it was like Katie O'Brien. I'm like, oh yeah, she's dead. Then she just shows up here, and I'm like, I'm glad.
Maybe it's like a Fennec situation where they just like gave her robot
they fixed her organs.
Yeah.
Nah, I can't wait for the explanation as to why Cara Dune is suddenly dead.
I was gonna bring that up. I'm like, are they just gonna have like an offhand remark, like, "Yeah, what happened to that other person?"
I would love it. It would be really funny if they just never mentioned it.
No, they will not. I honestly don't think they will mention it.
I don't think that they will either. But I really hope that Grief Karga is just like, oh yeah, you know, she like went to this planet that she got told not to go to, and they said if you go there you'll die, and she said no, I know my rights, and then she goes there and dies.
I did kind of find it really funny when the Return of the Mandalorian happened, and like there was that little bit of just like exposition about like what happened after the season 2 finale that she wasn't mentioned. I was like, I thought it was going to be mentioned, like even just in a line. But nothing, and I'm glad, and I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Oh, same. I'm fine with it.
She can go away. I mean, that's all I care about.
She is a masterclass in how to not fuck up. That's all I'll say. Like,
imagine you're about to get your lead show on Star Wars, and then a couple months later, you're working for fucking Ben Shapiro,
and you're acting alongside Lawrence Fox, like,
and like, you were gonna like. Probably like I'll never forget the rumors of like, oh yeah, Rangers of the New Republic, Harrison Dole is gonna replace Cara Dune, and like,
which makes a lot more sense now that we know that Hera's in Ahsoka.
Yeah, maybe and it's just like I'll never forget that. Like everybody on my timeline was like, this is the upgrade of the century right here.
Oh, I was one of them.
I just had a horrible thought of Gina Carano playing Hera Syndulla. And
No.
Oh, no.
Nah.
Stop the stream. We're done. We're done.
It's over.
I think as
For
a
the
joke,
Republic
because
is
there were all
is
those
done.
people saying, like, on that side, saying that Gina Carano should have been cast as She-Hulk. So I think as a gag, they should have Tatiana Maslany play Cara Dune in just one scene in Mando season 3, just to piss them off. But I also just love like the different like color like Mando armors that we saw in this trailer.
Yeah,
and
that was cool.
I think it's going to be really cool. And
yeah, Mendo's already got some followers. Like that's kind of sick.
Yeah.
Do we think Sabine's going to be in this one?
I think just one episode.
Yeah,
well,
I think a surprise
Favreau said
appearance.
something about Ahsoka and saber duels. Was that for this, or was that for
Ahsoka.
like, actually Ahsoka?
That was for Ahsoka.
It's Ahsoka.
Which has me thinking Barriss is going to turn up and she's going to get a redemption arc because she's got to fight someone.
That would be fucking nuts.
I also say Barriss, but this is the other thing because my brother suggested this to me: Starkiller.
Nah, I'll see it. Dave's not that stupid.
I feel like if they're gonna do Starkiller, he's gonna be an Inquisitor.
Yeah, I think he'll be the first brother, and he'll be like he could be the remnant, the last remaining Inquisitor who's like holed up in Mount Tantis. Because I feel like they are gonna need at least one Darksider to bolster up Thrawn, so that he's ready to like sort of make his. Because otherwise, they'll have to kind of like maybe rely too heavily on those salamanders that he uses in the books, even if they use them at all. But like, yeah,
I do
excited
think
to see
we're
Barriss
eventually going to get characters like Starkiller and like Mara Jade back in canon. I just think they're going to be in different areas of the timeline. I think they're going to just try to do them differently.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting like Mara Jade with Luke. I feel like that.
Yeah, I think we'll get Mara Jade eventually, but I think Luke is just not going to be related to her character at all. I could see her maybe being like one of like Rey's students if they want to go like completely different. Or maybe move her to like Old Republic or like High Republic timeline. But
Old
I mean,
Republic.
we'll
I
see.
don't want to touch in High Republic.
All right, maybe Acolyte. I don't know. We'll see.
Dude, speaking of Acolyte, like
that casting.
Yeah,
we've got to talk about the casting.
Oh my god, my guy from Squid Game. This whole show looks
like we
fantastic.
got Rain Roberts as one. Like for those that don't know, Rain Roberts is a Lucasfilm Story Group member, but she's co-developing the Acolyte, and it's just like I can't wait, man. I'm so excited.
We also got to see the first shot of Jude Law on Skeleton Crew.
Yeah. Did they say the show is already done filming?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
That's
or it's
insane.
very close to. Like that show's coming out
next year, I think.
I would say this time next year, if not slightly earlier, probably August.
What do you think we're going to get first? Do you think we're going to get Skeleton Crew first, or do you think we're going to get Ahsoka first?
Skeleton Crew.
Ahsoka.
I think Ahsoka as well.
Well, they're not even done shooting Ahsoka though. They still have, I think they said at the panel, I think they said they have 2 months left of shooting. So I wouldn't see Ahsoka coming out until Q1 2024 probably.
So what is next? What have they said so far for next year? Mando, Visions, Skeleton Crew, Young Jedi, and Ahsoka, right? Or am I missing one?
And but Bad Batch now.
Yeah,
oh yeah.
Unless of course they announce anything else at next year's celebration, which is probably what they're saving the majority of their announcements.
Yeah,
I feel like Ahsoka is going to be like like if it comes out 2023, like I feel like Ahsoka is going to be like Europe's version of what Kenobi was.
I think that's going to be Mando now. I think because of Bad Batch, I think they're pushing Mando to Celebration.
That would make sense.
Because
that would draw in the that would draw.
Do we know
people
how
into
many
seats.
episodes Mando season 3 is?
I don't think they've said.
No.
It's probably going to be
presume
8, like the other seasons, is my guess. But that would also be 2.5 years in between season 2 and season 3. So that would be kind of crazy.
That would be. That would be
I don't
nuts.
think they've said.
Okay,
Yeah.
if Mando comes out the last week of February, the last episode will be the week of Celebration.
All right, so that would be insane if they streamed the Mando finale at Celebration. Oh,
especially because you know that finale is going to set up it's going to set up Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka. If on the off chance they're doing Boba Fett season 2, it's gonna set that up probably, like, because they love like doing some kind of connecting thing. To
They
set the other
love
seasons up.
the connecting in the Mandoverse. But we got one
Also-
more thing. Oh, go ahead.
Also, just before we move on, I'm calling it. Jude Law is playing Lux Bonteri. That photo of him, because I thought he was going to be an Imperial officer, but that shot of him, he's got kind of like sort of roguish look on there with the jacket and the scarf.
How much of this show is Dave involved in? I know that it's still produced and written by John, but have they said like is Dave doing much of anything with it?
I feel like yes.
Is John Watts the showrunner, or is he just directing the episodes?
He created it. Like it was his idea.
Well, yeah, because
So-
Jon Favreau said that John Watts pitched him that whilst they were working on Spider-Man No Way Home.
So this is more Watts and not Favreau, or is this?
Yeah, it seems
Watts-
like it.
Okay.
It
Yeah,
seems
Watts
like
like
it.
created the premise of the show, but they did say that John is, I think, like co-writing or something, and he's producing the whole thing.
Okay.
I could have
Okay.
sworn John was just producing because, like,
No, I thought I heard that he was like co-writing with Watts to connect it all because Watts' idea was so like separate from everything else, but they wanted to tie it into the Mando stuff.
Because the rumor was High Republic at first, and then it got moved to the Mando timeline. But yeah. Speaking of Lux Bonteri, though, kind of a segue into Tales of the Jedi. Some people think he showed up in this trailer. In the
At the funeral? Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, those shots, like Ahsoka at the funeral, like that.
She doesn't have the tube top anymore.
Oh, fuck the tube top. I'm so glad. That new costume is so sick.
It's
Dude,
so
like-
I love that
sick.
they have gone back and revised the season 1 and season 2 costumes. Because each costume looks way
They're all
improved.
different.
Like Anakin now looks like 19 in those shots, like he's or like 20. Like he looks a lot younger, which I think is really cool because it does kind
Yeah,
of
they completely
re-emphasize.
redid. From what I can tell, it looks like the only models that stayed the same that I saw in those trailers were Plo Koon's model in the background of the one shot and Rex's Phase 2 model. Those were the only two, and like y'all know I'm a sucker for this kind of shit. I did like a deep dive, like examining all the new models, and those were the only two that looked like they had no changes at all. Like all the Phase 1 clones had new models. Rex had a completely new Phase 1 model. Obi-Wan's model was 100% different. Anakin's model
especially
was
with the
100% different. Yeah, because Obi-Wan's now, I remember, like, it's always kind of been, like, I know for me, like, I'm all involved in, like, the Black Series customizing community on Instagram, and a lot of people are constantly like, oh, Obi-Wan's armor in Clone Wars is just clone arms, and other people are like, no, they're different. They're, like, you have, like, the attached elbows and the cutouts and the whatever, but, like, this new model just shows that it's just clone armor.
Yeah, so it's like a nice mix of the 2003 costume, which I recently got to look at in all of its like Black Series glory, and also like the 2008 series.
Yeah, but the Plo Koon model has the old style arms, so I think that confirms that the Jedi that just used the forearm gauntlets, that is its own armor attachment that isn't clone armor. So I think that's like, I love a lot of the changes they made, but they did give the Phase 1 clones First Order undersuits with like the horizontal ribs, and I'm just looking at that and I'm like, oh, why did you guys do that?
Maybe just to tie in with the like the revised look that they gave them in that Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, so to just try and
in Obi-Wan they used the prequel style like cloth undersuits. It was only Book of Boba Fett it has the ribbed look because on set those were First Order Stormtrooper costumes that they CGI'd clone armor onto.
I still think that's so weird.
That is
it is. I feel like it had to just be some last minute thing that they shot in like a closet, like
probably
and then CGI'd over it.
But talking like character models, we should maybe discuss like the sixth brother making his
my god, yeah.
It's a cool mask. It's a dope mask.
So cool.
It looks really weird for an Inquisitor mask.
Yeah, it doesn't look Inquisitor at all.
But apparently E.K.
Like
Johnston said that's not the sixth brother, but like
So is this not from the Ahsoka book?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
See, that would
Ahsoka's just taking out Inquisitors left and right.
That would be cool, though.
Or
because
Dave
then
is
they
just
wouldn't
retconning that book again.
Or they maybe aren't
yeah.
even contradicting the novel. Maybe they are. Maybe they have just done this Inquisitor as like a new character. Although she doesn't look like she has lightsabers.
I will say
spoiler-
though, too, about retconning novels. I know we were all kind of freaking out about them possibly retconning Master and Apprentice by having Dooku still be in the Jedi Order right up until Attack of the Clones. But that fight scene that they showed just confirms that it's not, because Dooku still has black hair.
Yeah, I don't think
So-
they're gonna like.
Well,
I don't think they're
there's
gonna
the people are
contradict
speculating that Dooku might kill Yaddle while he's younger, but Yaddle's in Phantom Menace. So how would that work?
I would assume it has to take place right after Phantom Menace.
Right after Phantom Menace?
I feel like
Okay.
it has to be.
So
But,
Dooku's
like,
probably out of the order at that point, but like
Yeah,
Right,
'cause
Dooku
Dooku's out of
probably
the
leaves
order.
the Order right before Phantom Menace, does all of his Sereno shit, but then obviously he's still operating out of Coruscant with Palpatine, and then Yaddle finds the hideout and Dooku's there, and is like, man, I didn't want to have to kill you, but now I have to.
Yeah, because like
I
she if you look at the background, Yaddle is clearly in the secret base that you see at the end of Attack of the Clones.
I didn't
where
notice
Dooku-
that the first time I
where
watched
Dooku-
it, and then I saw the screenshots.
it's the
I was like,
door, the
whoa.
kind of door with the jagged like metal teeth. That's what kind of
Yeah,
gave
they're
me
in the
away.
hangar bay.
Yeah,
Mm.
exactly. So maybe Dooku will kill Yaddle, or
Probably.
stand
No, that's
by-
going to probably happen. That's going to
I
happen.
feel like he does, because she's not mentioned any other time after Phantom Menace.
I mean,
Yeah.
it would track because it would maybe make him think
Like there's
he is,
that
make him
one
arrogant enough.
random ass mention in Fallen Order that Grease says, but other than that, nothing.
I mean, it
yeah.
would-
She's in
it
Lego
would track, wouldn't it,
Skywalker
with,
saga.
like,
Does
him-
that count?
It would track with him basically like thinking he can beat Yoda, because he seems
That's true.
so confident in Attack of the Clones that he can take Yoda on. And I feel like, well, if he beat Yaddle in a duel, and if she's such a skilled master, he would probably think, oh yeah, I could take Yoda, no problem.
Yeah, this isn't my expert. When did she die in Legends? Was it during the Clone Wars or was it before Attack of the Clones?
Oh, I just rewound the trailer. Actually, she is totally
Oh.
fighting Dooku in that trailer.
Yeah.
Well,
It's like
I
it's so
think
blinking you'll
she
miss it.
died during Order 66 in the Legends, but I'm not 100% sure.
Let me
okay.
see what
I do know that-
Wikipedia says.
In both Legends and canon, after Phantom Menace, she stepped down from the Council, though.
Okay. 'Cause she's
And then
not
took like a
in it.
less active Jedi Master role or something like that.
Yeah. But like again, I hope that they continue this and like each season focuses on like different aspects of the Jedi Order and it's not just
Mhm.
one
It has
6-episode
so much
Clone Wars
potential.
Jedi thing because it has so much potential.
I've
And-
already seen people saying like, "Oh, for season 2, we should get 3 Kit Fisto episodes and then 3 like Stacey Tin episodes." And I'm like, no, go to other
High
eras,
Republic-
please.
High Republic, please.
Yeah,
Yes,
High Republic.
High Republic, Luke's
Rey.
Jedi Order, Rey's Jedi Order, like go
Yeah,
back,
exactly.
Old Republic, even like just do cool shit with this show.
Exactly.
If the
Dark
next season has
Times.
more episodes, like by
Jedi
all means,
Leia.
you can do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jedi Leia would be awesome.
Jedi
I mean-
Leia interacting with Obi-Wan's Force Ghost.
There's so much like it can be besides just like Dave Filoni got bored on a plane once, wrote 6 episodes, and just said, "All right, we're making this."
I mean, I can't blame them. I mean,
I
we
mean,
all
yeah.
do that. We all
But,
have
like,
yeah,
a
we
spree.
all do that with our original characters, but like
yeah,
Dave, we don't need Ahsoka in every single second of the Star Wars universe. Please, I'm begging you, stop.
her stories look like I've kind of memed it, like that zoomed in baby Ahsoka thing that we see, but
Oh,
like
it's the emote now.
yeah, but like all of those shorts look great. And I'm
Yeah.
so like excited to see that. I know the one that they said like her as like really, really young because they screened it at Celebration. It said it's like very like quiet, like very little dialogue. I'm very interested in watching that one. And then the Dooku ones really intrigue me too because we're gonna get young and old Qui-Gon Jinn, which of course, like I'm all there for that. And I just
love how
want to see
young
more of
Qui-Gon's being played
Dooku.
by Liam's son.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's
That's
such a
so
cool
cool.
detail.
Like
Yeah, I gotta say, I watched all. So I was at a friend's just friend's party for something because he invited me. I watched all 3 of those trailers, and none of them surpassed the elation of what I did at the party, which was they had Can Jam set up.
Oh, the Can Jam story. Yeah.
Oh God.
And for those who don't know what Can Jam is, basically it's this game where these two like cans there's an open overhead and there's a slot. And so basically you throw a frisbee and the goal of the game is to score 21 points. And so all right. Basically
he got the frisbee ready to grab.
I'm just gonna demonstrate. If you're just listening to it, I recommend watching it.
This is
basically. I'm gonna say my wall here. My wall here is is what would be the metaphorical can. If I throw the frisbee offline and let's say Jake's my teammate, he redirects it and it hits the can and the redirected frisbee hits the can. What? You're probably pretty good at it. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure I would be. I'm so good at everything.
Redirects and hits the can, it's 1 point. If you directly hit the can, it's 2 points. If you throw it overhead and they hit it into the overhead, it's like a basket, it's 3 points. But if you get it into the slot, it's pretty much an instant win. And like this is definitely my best moment in Can Jam. We were playing one game and it was just the start. And I said to my friend who was right next to me, who was my not my teammate, he was on the other team. I just say to him, I'm like, oh, it'd be really funny if I slotted it on the first try. And basically that means if I like get it in the slot and win it, I fucking throw it and I slot it on the first try.
Whoa.
How did we just go on a 3-minute Can Jam tangent?
Because he said, yeah, these trailers are good, but let me tell my Can Jam story real quick. Because Can Jam, by the way, invented in my realm of the woods. So I mean, this is some hometown pride right here.
Western New York.
I wanted to talk about Ahsoka at Padme's funeral, but I think the Can Jam story kind of...
You can't top the Can Jam story.
I can't top the Can Jam story.
No, we have to stop the podcast again now. Yeah. This is the second time now. We should have just ended the podcast. I just think that... We're not going to top that.
I just think it's so heartbreaking because, one, the fact that Ahsoka was at Padme's funeral, and two, the things people are saying, like, Ahsoka definitely went to try to find Anakin, and this is her, like, confirmation in her mind that he died in Order 66. And I'm like, you motherfucker! But it is,
I hate it. I don't like it.
So, Tales of the Jedi, cool.
Nick definitely likes it because pain.
Jake, But I think when we eventually discuss Tales of the Jedi, we'll do
we're probably going to finish Tales of the Jedi before Clone Wars.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely, we are. We're getting all 6 episodes in one day. I'm taking the
I think we're not even going to finish season 1 of Clone
Wars. We got 3 episodes left, I think. In
we can finish season 1.
Yeah, by the end of October,
we have 3 arcs left. We don't have 3 episodes left.
Well, we're
on like episode 18, aren't we?
Yeah, and the next episode is just 1 episode. So
okay, it's hard to say we're almost done with season 1 because really, like half the episodes we've talked about were from seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah,
and so it's like
already watched Hidden Enemy, and like I think we got Trespass next, and then Blue Shadow Virus, and then.
Peppy Bow, baby.
Yeah. Peppy Bow.
But when we get to Tales of the Jedi, I think we'll do 1 episode on the Ahsoka stories, 1 episode on the Dooku stories. So we don't cram 6 episodes into 1 podcast because
Neat.
But now that we've had the open discussion of what we're going to do for the show on air, let's actually talk about the Clone Wars now.
We haven't even spoken about Ezra.
Oh, okay. Fuck Clone Wars. Let's talk about this thing that Jake and Conor have been hiding from us for 3-4 months.
Since Celebration. That's all we can say. We're not allowed to say anything else.
Yeah. What's his name again?
Iman Esfandi.
Okay, sweet. He looks like Ezra, especially like those photoshopped images of like older Ezra with like the beard.
I think I've connected the dots as to how he actually got cast. he starred in one of Roberto Rodriguez's movies from 2018, I believe.
Oh.
That's right. Yes.
So, yeah, that's
Dude,
probably how
Jake
Dave found out.
Bartok
And it
did
was like,
fan
yo,
art of as
Ezra and Sabine.
Amon
That was
as
great.
Ezra and Natasha as Sabine, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
I think
If you
they're nailing the
wonderful
casting
podcast
so far.
listeners, if you wonderful podcast listeners want Jake Bartok for the Republic Pod commissioned art, donate now because we're all broke, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, or it's either that or Jake Sirocco commissioned for the Republic art. It's one of the two.
I just got commissioned for multiple other Star Wars editor pieces today, so good luck with that, Andrew.
Yeah, good luck with that one. The SWEF is taking over. But no, I mean, assuming that Mary Elizabeth Winstead is Hera, like
I am
these
fairly
new
confident
castings
that
are
she is.
really working for me. Like, yeah, it's always a bummer that we're not going to get the voices behind these characters to play them in live action, but they're working for me so far. I just hope that Lars Mikkelsen is Thrawn.
Same.
I still
really
want
hope.
Lee Pace as Thrawn.
would be
See,
cool.
Lee Pace sounds tempting. For
First-
me though, Pierce Brosnan is also tempting, but there's also like
I feel
another
like he's more
actor.
like Legends Thrawn.
Yeah, but there's also like another actor whose name I am totally blanking on, who was in A Discovery of Witches. I'm literally googling his name now.
I don't know who that is. Not for Lee Pace though.
Matthew
Like we
Good.
know he looks
Matthew
good as
Good.
Blue. Who's
He would
that?
be a good. So Matthew. Okay, do you remember the 2009 Watchmen film?
Yes.
Have you seen it? He was
Yes.
Ozymandias.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
wouldn't be bad.
yeah.
How
I
about
know,
Bryan
he'd be good.
Cranston as
No.
Grand Admiral Thrawn?
Walter
Bryan
White just
Cranston
painted
would-
blue.
Bryan Cranston would be a really good Star Wars villain. Like, just
James
like,
Corden is.
All right,
Grand
take
Admiral
one out
Thrawn.
of the
no.
Marvel. Take one out of the
No.
Marvel fan book and just say Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah,
They cast him as everybody, so I know he's already Moff Gideon, but he's
he's
also
already
Thrawn now.
Gideon, and then he turns into Thrawn in Mando season 3, and then they do, I'm actually Grand Admiral Thrawn, and they'll be
surprise, like a
Um,
Scooby Doo mask. They just like pull. It's
Oh
like
my
Red
God.
Skull. They like pull
Yeah.
Giancarlo's real face off, and then it's just like him but blue underneath.
Blue. We got to take his
Like,
little contact lenses out so his eyes turn red again.
Oh my
James
goodness. But
Corden
yeah.
is Zeb and
Oh,
Thrawn.
No.
All right, yeah, okay.
I don't even want to think about it. No, just don't let James Corden. Like, I'm happy to just stick.
Can
to
we
the,
just
like,
talk about the
apocryphal
other
story.
blue person who had 2 episodes of a clone who was in 2 Clone Wars episodes? So
Yes, Clone
Yeah.
Wars time. So
Time for Clone Wars.
Time
Yes.
for Clone Wars. So Jedi Crash, our first episode, was directed by Rob Coleman, and it was the first episode of Clone Wars written by Katie Lucas, which is pretty cool. Obviously, George Lucas's daughter. The moral of the episode is greed and fear of loss are the roots that lead to the tree of evil. So, Connor, this is your time, buddy. You have the floor. Aayla Secura.
okay, I do have to say, Aayla Secura is no longer my Star Wars wife.
What?
What?
Yeah, I was saving that for this episode. That honor now goes to Harrison Dula.
So you mean I've been waiting for this moment for months, and you just hit us with that?
Yep.
We've literally
A
been talking
bombshell.
about this since we started the pod. We're like, oh, can't wait to get to the Ayla episodes. Connor's going to go crazy. Then we finally get to him, and Connor's like, no, I'm sorry.
Like, moving the goalposts.
I'm sorry.
right
I don't know
until
why I
we
made
get
you sound like
until
that.
we get to Ahsoka.
I mean, you're not wrong. No, but like, I genuinely forgot like how insightful some of Ayla's lines are. Like, I just did not remember most of what she said. Like, there's
She referenced Quinlan. I remember that. I went crazy at that shit. She didn't
Yeah.
actually say his name, but
I loved hearing her talk about her own master. Like, because
Mhm.
I it was only after I finished watching Clone Wars that I learned that Quinlan Vos was her master, and I just think that's like it's just such a cool
Yeah.
thing when you know just who she's referring to. But yeah, I loved seeing Ayla here, and I loved her conversations with Ahsoka. I kind of like when Ahsoka's talking with Ayla about like the Jedi's no attachments rule. I almost kind of felt like that was Katie Lucas kind of like having a conversation with her dad about like the whole methodology of the Jedi, because it really feels like a lot of the script that she's written really kind of like puts a lot of her own kind of like perspective on Ahsoka, because like Ahsoka really feels like the POV character here for the storyline.
If I'm not mistaken, too, Katie Lucas was like really young when she wrote these episodes, like 16 or 17 or something.
Yeah, she was 17 years old when she wrote episodes.
It's insane.
What?
Yeah.
It's insane. Wow. Imagine at 17, your dad's like, you want to write an episode? And then you get to make some really cool ones. And then she was the one behind Dark Disciple.
Dude, so, she fucking created like the Night Sith. Like she basically created Dathomir.
Yeah.
Well, Dathomir's been in Star Wars for decades, but she made it what it is in canon now.
Yeah. She modernized the Night Sisters in like just really fascinating ways, and it's thanks to her that Ventress became such a like a complex character, like an even more complex character in the show, for sure.
So again, great podcast content, but I dug this out. I've never opened this. I dug the Aayla Secura Funko Pop out for this episode.
Oh, sick.
And then,
that is
and then
cool.
Conor hits me with the I don't love her anymore.
Look,
so
look, I'm sorry that Hera look.
Hera is cool, but
she's not just cool, she's inspirational as all hell. Like, I know everyone jokes about like that one character that like they would take a bullet for. I would genuinely take a bullet for Hera Syndulla.
You want to see the one Star Wars character I'd take a bullet for?
Yes.
Yes.
Like, that woman could inspire me in battle. Like,
yeah,
she just could. Like, I
just thought after your ramblings that you would pay for the Amy Allen photo op at Celebration.
I mean, I'll do that too.
Yeah, but
don't tell her don't tell her about this episode.
I contain multitudes.
Because otherwise you'll give off like Ross vibes, like in that episode of Friends, like when he meets that actress who he had on his list, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not on this," and he's like, "Oh no, you were on the list, and then I took you off. It's laminated."
I feel like I'm witnessing divorce in real time right now. Like that's what this feels like. I just found out my parents were divorcing. Like Conor telling me that Aayla Secura is no longer part of.
I feel like I need to cancel my Aayla Secura Black Series pre-order now, just because it won't have the same energy anymore. Now that I know that Conor's not an Aayla simp.
I mean, I'm still ordering Hera Syndulla.
Yeah, me too, obviously. But
yeah. But like Hera Syndulla is like right there. Like, come on.
Yeah.
If I had known that, I would have gotten my Hera Syndulla Black Series figure out and had it ready for the episode, Conor. You need to tell us these things beforehand.
You should have figured from what I tweeted about Rebels.
I'm not gonna
all
lie,
I know is when we get to
Rebels,
Rebels,
Twitter anymore.
Yeah, all I know is when we get to Rebels, it's gonna be awful because we're gonna have to have a 10-minute tangent every episode of Conor talking about what Hera did in the episode.
We're just not gonna let Conor record those episodes. We'll give him the wrong times.
Conor's just not allowed on the Rebels talk.
We'll be like, all right, Conor, we're recording at 7. He'll be like, okay, and then we record at 5.
Yeah. It's like, where are you guys? It's like, we're just
we finished early. My bad.
Yeah. Sorry. Did we say 7? We meant 5 a.m. Sorry, my dude.
Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, this episode. So it starts off again. Full transparency here. I watched these episodes last week because we were supposed to record last Monday, I think, and then everything pushed. So I'm going to be very much relying on my notes. I know Don's got the episodes open right now.
I currently am playing them in the background.
We start
I
off.
also watched them a week early.
That's true. So we start off and we're in the middle of a battle in the Outer Rim. The Republic is very much being outnumbered by the Separatists, and Anakin and Ahsoka are on their way to aid General Aayla Secura, who I had it in all caps. And in my notes, I said, give Conor a solid 5 minutes here. We're going to scratch that because my moment of brilliance is now gone. But I think there are a couple things I noticed here in this battle. One, I loved the color scheme that they gave the B2s in the scene.
Flying B2s.
Like, their color scheme is just amazing. The other thing here, this is where I'm going to turn into Conor for a second. Shout out Jennifer Hale, voicing Aayla Secura.
Yes.
Also, shout out Jennifer Hale.
Hella
giving her
French.
the French accent. Yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Is yes. Yeah. So before I go any further, it was just so cool to see her and Commander Bly, and I'm just, again, the one thing I love about Clone Wars, and it's said all the time, is how we get to focus on these characters that were in the background of the prequels, and we get to see them more fleshed out. And I thought these episodes did a really good job at fleshing her out and kind of giving her this like weird mentor relationship with Ahsoka, where she's kind of like snarky with her and she's kind of hard on her points, but like also like genuinely like sees the good in Ahsoka and admires how much she cares for Anakin, which I thought was a great theme throughout these episodes. But the ship they're on begins to explode. Anakin is trying to stop it with the Force, but he is just caught in the flames and is absolutely knocked out.
That boy got yeeted.
I thought he died for a second. I was like, oh, so this is the alternate.
Could you imagine if that was how Anakin dies and Palpatine's like, fuck.
I gotta find a whole nother apprentice now. Like I'm doing the Seth MacFarlane robot chicken version of Palpatine. I gotta find a whole other apprentice now. This is not awesome.
Stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper.
Go fuck yourself. Oh my god. I watched those for the first time the other month. Those are just hilarious. But yeah, Anakin is badly hurt. They're trying to rendezvous with Yularen's ship. There's a great line where I think Yularen was like, "Our Jedi is always so reckless," and Aayla was like, "Oh, just the good ones," which I love that line.
That's a factual statement. Also, before we blow by the battle, I just saw because it's playing in the background. Anakin uses about a super battle droid as like a bowling ball to knock down other droids, and I love that move.
I love just the atmosphere of that.
Yeah,
the way it's just in like a blue sky.
Yeah, because you very rarely see like sky fights in like broad daylight in Star Wars, which I thought was a really nice touch. And I just, like I said, I loved the look of the flying B2s. The battle was really cool, and then the way that it kind of ends of their hyperdrive is accidentally put on, and they accidentally shoot it into hyperspace while they're trying to dock with the ship. I thought that was really cool. Like I was just like, whoever pitched that,
in my
bravo.
notes too, in that like uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase, lowercase. Like that's not how hyperspace works. Because like
exactly, I was literally gonna say this lines up so well with the way we see hyperspace work in The Last Jedi, and it's part of why I'm excited about this.
That.
Because this episode, I swear to God, Rian Johnson watched both of these episodes. I know he watched the Mortis arc, but I think he watched these as well for reasons I'll get into in a bit later.
I mean, he's a huge Star Wars fan. I can guarantee you, he's watched every single episode of Clone Wars.
Probably. I mean, especially if you're a huge Star Wars fan and you're taking on such a huge project as directing Episode 8. Of course, you're going to go back and you're going to watch all that stuff. At least in Ryan's perspective. JJ, but Ryan
JJ didn't fucking watch Clone Wars.
Yeah, JJ watched A New Hope, and that was it. But
and then he watched Return of the Jedi and was like, the Ewoks are.
Yeah. But I really enjoyed the way this was done and the way the chaos of this scene. It's everything bad that could have possibly happened. Anakin gets just completely wrecked, might be dead. They're trying to dock with a ship to heal him. They get sent into hyperspace because one of the clones, I think, just bonks their head on the hyperdrive. It was just such a okay, where are we going with this? Because normally you'd think, okay, so we're going to focus most of this episode on this battle. And it's no, we're going in a completely different direction now. They're stranded. And I just really liked it. Like I mentioned, we got our first appearance of Commander Bly in these episodes, who then kills her during Order 66. So
pain.
Just absolute pain. Every time they show up, one of the clone generals shows up with their Jedi that they end up gunning down hurts. It very much hurts.
Oh,
And
it
then
does.
in Commander Gree's case, just when he showed up the other week, and I was like, oh, Yoda beheads your ass in Revenge of the Sith. So
It's one of the coolest scenes in Revenge of the Sith, but it's now tragic.
Oh, it's so tragic now.
But it's also
it's even
super
worse
badass.
because it was one of the clones from Ambush too.
Yeah,
that we've talked about. I can't get over
No.
that.
No.
But yeah, massive pain. And another little subtle thing that they point out when Anakin's in the med bay and he's got the breathing mask over it. When he's hooked up to the tank, you can hear Vader breathing, and I'm like,
dude, that's not subtle. It's like we know Star Wars is not subtle with
Star Wars
this
is
shit.
not subtle.
They're like,
That's
get
why
it,
I
like-
love it.
They're like,
it's
here's
not.
a Vader Easter egg. You like that? You like the Vader Easter egg?
get it, because this
Here's
guy's Darth
another
Vader.
one.
Yeah, but I saw it and I was like, okay, no, that's cool. Like, I like that a lot.
Also, the crash landing is so well done. Like it feels very like exciting and like tense. Like
There's
it really
a big
feels.
animation improvement in
Yeah,
this episode from what I like the ones before it. I feel like
yeah. Especially like
Agreed.
compared that
Yeah.
to like how they crashed the Twilight crashes on Tatooine in the Clone Wars movie. It
Mhm.
feels a little bit
Yeah.
like the ship is so durable there, despite being so ramshackle, and yet this Republic cruiser just like pieces are flying off it. It's like grinding across the ground. It's just like, yeah, it feels dangerous and like the element of danger is just like there as well. And I like how they have all those like little scuffs on the character designs as well. It really kind of
Yeah,
shows
just-
that they like just pulled through this.
the real tension that there was of like when they were about to collide into the star and they had to cut the ship's power so they didn't, and then they had to turn it back on. Like, that was a really cool scene. I was really vibing with it. So then they crash into a nearby
Meriden.
planet, which was Meriden. And I point this out a lot in my notes, but I really love the look of this planet. I
Yeah.
love the look. I love the music that Kevin Conor uses.
the music was
especially
so
in
good.
this episode.
Beautiful.
It was so
like
good.
the use of flutes and like other woodwind instruments, it
Mhm.
really gives this kind of tranquil vibe about the planet, and it already kind of instills the idea in you that this is a mostly peaceful planet. This is a planet that is
Yep.
removed from the scourge of the Clone Wars, which
It's a very-
later sets up like the addition of the Lurmen, which is
Yeah.
I love that they use the music as foreshadowing.
I just
I
like
love
how
the-
after the hectic opening, it's just a very quiet episode.
Yeah.
most of the time.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it really worked for its favor, and a lot of the aesthetic, like the designs, even the colors they use for Meriden and like the big trees. I kept getting Lion King vibes the whole episode from the
Yeah, it
totally.
really did.
even with the music, which like I was like I really appreciate. It reminded me of that, and then the ancestral plane from Black Panther, which is also just I just think of the Lion King whenever I see that movie with that scene. But I really enjoyed the look of this planet. We see Ahsoka really struggling with the concept of having to leave Anakin behind, and the fact that her master might not make it through this mission. We
It
see
gets worse,
really weigh on her.
Ahsoka. It gets worse. Just give it
gets
a few
worse.
years.
But we really see this like weigh on her emotionally, and this is like a great back and forth, great parallel between Ahsoka and a more seasoned master in Aayla Secura, of someone that has more control of her emotions, but she's really trying to help her out at points. I really enjoyed that, and how her like arc in this arc of what she's going through.
Yeah.
I would love to see
potentially
more
losing
like
Anakin.
Ayla and Quinlan relationship stuff, because I almost feel like it would be very similar to Anakin's and Ahsoka's.
Yeah,
Tales
you
of
know,
the Jedi season 2.
we
Let's-
just
let's-
talked
see
about
more
how we
Aayla
don't want
Secura
Kit
content.
Fisto and stuff like that, but like
I would
If
be
you're
okay
going-
with that.
if you're gonna focus on something, give us Quinlan. Like, we deserve
Yeah.
more Quinlan
Yeah,
we need
Voss
more
content at this
Quinlan.
point.
Quinlan
I-
and Ayla Secura for
I just
Tales
need
of the
Ayla
Jedi
Secura
season 2.
content, man. That's
Yeah.
all I need in
I'd
life.
be
Oh,
quiet, Connor.
you're
just
you're
said
not
that
allowed
Ayla
after
overtook her. Yeah, no,
after
stop
after
that.
the opening.
I contain multitudes.
No, go shoot.
You have layers. Dude has layers. He's like an onion, like a
He's
glass
like an
Look,
onion.
I'm
Like a
sorry.
glass
I'm
onion,
sorry
and that
that
is
female
outscored.
Twi'leks are some of the like most attractive people in Star Wars. Like,
Fair.
The man speaks no lies, but yes, you had your chance and you blew it, sir. So this is our
No.
moment.
Yeah, it's gone.
no.
Drew, can you mute
I
him?
also-
Mute him.
Yeah,
I
hold up.
also love the. I also like that it's a it's the flip side of Ahsoka's dynamic with Luminara, because the Luminara, as awesome as she was very stern with Ahsoka. She scolded Ahsoka oftentimes for going against the Jedi code, like for showing emotion or being unconventional or abrasive. Whereas Ayla is a lot more understanding and almost kind of talks like an older sibling, or even an understanding parent. Like when Ahsoka speaks honestly about her attachment, rather than just say, "Oh, attachment is forbidden. You should learn to let go of that." And she's like, "It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's a natural thing to like feel those emotions, but you have to learn to control them." Like she's very much kind of like an ideal Jedi, even whilst having to participate in something like the Clone Wars. So it's just really good character work, and from like at such a young age, it's like Katie Lucas has got such a keen grasp of character. It's astounding.
I wish I had that at 16 or 17.
Me too.
I'm
help a lot
22
now.
and I write all the time, and I still don't have it. So
Do we know how old like Aayla Secura and Quinlan are in like canon or legends? Because like they always seem
Quinlan
like
is a year
very
or two
similar in
older than Obi-Wan.
okay, so Obi-Wan's like 38 in Revenge of the Sith, so Sakura's got to be in like her mid to late 20s, and she's already a Jedi Master. Like that's kind of like she's
Yeah,
moving
in
up in
canon,
the
there's
world.
there's no date, there's no birth date, but in Legends she was born 48 BBY, so like late 20s.
Okay, cool. There's
Yeah,
a
Quinlan
really
Voss was the same age as Obi-Wan.
okay.
Yeah.
So like they're fairly
26.
close in age then.
She was 26.
She's 26 and she's already a Jedi Master. That's pretty sweet. But Anakin can't even get it at
Yeah,
23.
Anakin's just like giving her side eyes the
22.
whole time. He's like,
you son of a bitch. How'd you get this far?
you're not that much older than me, and you're already a master. It's not. It's outrageous.
It's outrageous. It's unfair.
Unfair.
But there is we just talked about their dynamic, but I do love this moment where Ahsoka's just looking at the carving, and it's like it seems like it's just a big tree. It's like it seems the people on this planet live near giant trees, and Ayla just goes very perceptive, Padawan. I'm like, that really got a laugh out of me.
That killed me.
I love that moment too, because right before that, they're like, "All right, Rex, stay with Anakin," and he's like, "Of course, I'll take good care of him, sir," and like twirls his gun, and it's like, is Rex gonna kill him?
He's gonna take care of him. Yeah,
his inhibitor chip activated early.
He's activated a little early.
So don't worry, General. I'll take care of him.
It's like, no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. No, Rex, don't do that. It's like, I thought you said to take care of the general. It's like,
why are we describing
Rex.
a robot chicken skit like right now? It's
this is we watched the bootleg version of this episode actually. Like that's what happened. But I also put okay. So this is my comment. I always forget that Ayla's master is Quinlan Voss. Then I said, what an attractive master and apprentice pairing. And then I said, I got to stop simping. So I need to mute myself from the stream.
Cannot blame you, Andrew. Come on, let's be honest.
But
it's Ayla
Conor, no more. No.
Shut the fuck up, Jake.
You lost your chance.
Yeah.
You did that yourself.
There's
No, you did that yourself.
But yeah, the trees look really cool. Like I said, they look straight out of the Lion King. While they're looking in these trees, we kind of see we cut back to Rex and we see these like rustling in the bushes. And then we see this just giant creature just come out of the blue and just start attacking Rex. I thought that they were the same type of creature that Boga was, but I looked it up on Clone Wars or on Wikipedia, and it's a different type. but
Yeah,
I'm blanking on the name. So
they kind of look like flightless
Varrock.
griffins. Like the griffins that you can like fly around in World of Warcraft. They kind of look a lot like flightless versions of those, which is like it's a unique design. They actually felt quite intimidating. I'll admit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought
especially
it
when
was-
Rex went into full stormtrooper mode and missed every single one of his shots.
He's not using his pistols. Like he works best with his pistols. Like Rex in season 1, he uses the blaster rifles way too much.
Yeah.
which is why he couldn't hit shit. Like he should just be using his pistols.
Yeah. But then a pack comes out of the blue of these same creatures, and they attack everyone else, and they kill the clones that were with the two Jedi, except for Bly. So just a moment of silence for Cameron, Flash, and Lucky that perished in this.
That boy's name
attack.
is Cameron.
Cameron.
Of course, they had.
God.
Of course, one of the ones who dies here has to be called Lucky. Like, of
I
course.
know. Of course.
The real one that
they-
was lucky was Bly. He had that plot armor because he had to show up in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh no. But they end up they like are looking through the map, and they end up finding the village, and they find the locals, the Lurmen, and they are very apprehensive about the Jedi being here because they came to the planet and they colonized Meriden because they wanted to find peace from the war. And of course, they're not liking that a bunch of Jedi just showed up with clones. They're very apprehensive about their weapons being there and everything. And then this is where Don and I have been getting into. Don's been looking to debate because the village elder did not like him that much, and Don.
Tewat Ka.
Yeah,
You want Casa, bitch.
Yeah, but like,
Don't like
this
him.
is the thing. I'm not necessarily sure I like him, but I understand his whole perspective. Like, also, incidentally, so apparently the Lurmen are originally from Magito, which is just fascinating to see.
that on Wikipedia.
Yeah, to see how they like have come from such a different planet. But I digress. So like Tewat Ka is fascinating to me because like this is the first time that like an otherwise, neutral character, like a character that's not an outright villain, has actually turned around and criticized the Jedi. I think it's just such a fascinating idea to literally look at the Jedi, and it's a theme that Katie Lucas is continuing here because like she's already had Ahsoka question the Jedi's no attachments rule, and now here we have Tewat Ka questioning the Jedi's involvement in the war and like whether they can actually call themselves peacekeepers. And he has kind of a point because like it does, because like, and
he does have a point, but he's so stupidly stubborn that he's like, you have to leave, as they're like about to get run over by battle.
We came here to find peace.
Yeah, this whole arc is pretty much a commentary on pacifism and neutrality, like during wartime. Yeah, and I think that is handled fairly well in this arc. Even at the end of the next episode, where like he is saved and like they help him and everything, and like if the Jedi weren't there, they'd be dead. And he's like, I still don't know how I feel about you, Jedi. I'm like,
such like boomer mentality.
I'm like yeah, really.
I'm gonna go so far. That is one of my favorite endings in all of Clone Wars. Like I just love the ending, but I'll get into that like a little bit later.
Like I said a couple times later in my notes, he gives me old man yelling at cloud energy. Like that's what he does.
It's not entirely off base, really, but I do love that there's like shades with him because they could have just made him completely unsympathetic, but there's that really interesting conversation that he has with Aayla when she stays behind, as like insurance just in case like the separatists come attacking for all they know. Like I just love the conversation.
That it is a different perspective of how a couple episodes ago we saw with Uncle Anno when the separatists came by and he accepted to work with them or to be under their occupation. I do like how it's a different form of that in this arc. And it's not just, whereas Uncle Anno was very clearly manipulated by the separatists because his people were in peril. This time he's just like, it's because he just doesn't care for the Jedi and he thinks that they're going to protect him. But I do like how they went in a different direction there. One thing I will say about the Lurmen, I might be alone here, guys. They kind of creep me out. Just the
Huh?
design and
I
stuff.
fucking love them, man. Get the
It's
They're
the
fuck
like-
out.
eyes, isn't it?
Humanoid-looking lemurs. Like
It's
King
Humanoid
Julian
lemurs that
looking
roll like
motherfuckers.
droidicas. That's awesome.
I love that they
it's
roll.
sick.
Yeah, I was
It's
saying I
so-
love how his,
Like, dude, give me a Lego Lurmen playable character in Lego Skywalker Saga.
Just
I
give
mean,
me like a Lurmen bounty hunter. Imagine seeing this little rat thing roll up on you, and then like they're like dual wielding. Like
It's like
I-
Rocket
I kept-
Raccoon.
I
Yeah.
kept pointing out. I'm like, why does Wagto have like the Sonic spin dash? Like he just does it like the whole episode. But he's
Yeah,
the
if he just
only one, I think,
charged
that-
up, he'd wipe
that
out battle
rolls
droids.
around. But they send his son Wagto to go with Ahsoka to help out Anakin while Aayla stays with the village. And like I want someone to make a Sonic edit of Wagto rolling around with just like the Green Hill music playing, because I just think that would be hilarious.
Yeah.
But I
is
do
that those memes where it's like doo 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 doo
Yeah.
doo? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
random as well. Like, can I just add that they have Irish accents? Like, I know there's a lot of like
Yeah.
random
yeah,
accents. but
why?
it doesn't feel like it completely corresponds with the look, because you would almost think that they would have kind of more of like an African, a South, like a South African kind of accent, given
Probably,
the
but
look.
like I'm
Yeah,
for
because
it
of
as
the-
And then
someone
all of a
who's
sudden
half
they start
Irish
talking like
descent.
this, like, oh no,
Yeah.
we don't want any Jedi here. We only want peace.
Sounded like
Well,
Hobbit.
maybe it's because they colonized the planet and they weren't originally from there, and that's why they don't have like that kind of.
Do we know
like-
how long this group of Lurmen have been here?
I don't
Or-
think they mention it.
I
Because
don't
they
think
say
I don't
they're
think
very
they do.
long.
They
Like,
say they
they-
wanted to avoid the war, so maybe they like it's like recent, but like
maybe-
the
I would think so.
Well, we know that Magito is part of like a battleground in the Clone Wars, so like maybe
Yeah, for like the
came under attack
entirety of the
and they
war
fled.
too.
Yeah,
Probably shortly after first Geonosis.
Yeah, isn't the Battle of Magneto the longest battle in the Clone Wars? It's like literally the entire 3 years.
Is it?
I think it is, or it was in Legends or something like that.
Damn.
I don't know if Canon's established that, but I think
It's
it
kinda
was.
nuts.
I mean, it would make
20
sense
years.
when this was written.
Yeah, because they were still going off of a lot of Legends stuff for early seasons.
for early seasons of Clone Wars, yeah. So that would,
definitely.
because I know there are points where I know when we were talking about Lair of Grievous, there were points where I think Dave said he was writing the episode, so it would be its own story, but also like in a way not conflict with Grievous's origin in Legends, because that was still like a thing at the time.
Yeah, because the Disney purchase
Disney
hadn't
buyout
happened.
hadn't happened yet.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
So there was a lot of that kind of like trepidation.
exactly.
But like,
But
before
I
we move on, like the thing I was going to say about like Wagtu's conversation about Aayla Secura, like the thing that stays with me the most is like the thing he says to her at the end when he says, you know, only when you lay down your arms down and pursue a course of non-violence can you tell me the Jedi are peacekeepers. And that line stays with me because, like,
That's their
bizarrely enough,
intention.
Rian Johnson pays that off in The Last Jedi with Luke and like the culmination of Luke's arc, because that's what Luke does. Luke proves that the Jedi are peacekeepers because, you know, he's the one to like lay down his arm, not necessarily lay down his arms, but he pursues a course of non-violence.
I now want an edit of Last Jedi where like after
With
Luke
the
goes,
Lurmen, like,
yeah, where, like
Yeah.
no, not even the Lurmen, just Tiwat Ka being like, that's how you do it.
Yeah, and you just
I
have,
want
like,
an
Luke's-
edit
yeah,
of
dead good lad.
I want an edit of after Kylo has all the walkers fire on Luke. Instead of Luke walking out of the smoke, it's Tewaka that does it.
Yeah.
Violence breeds violence.
That would be
That's his
cute.
first line to them.
Yeah.
Just-
It's like,
He just
who
says
the
that and then
hell?
disappears back into the smoke.
And then Luke comes back out.
Looks like what
Yeah.
he said.
But I really like Don said. I really enjoyed the convo that the two of them had. I thought it was a very, very powerful, and it really showed different perspectives of the war. Even though I'm not a Tewat Ka stan by any means, but I thought it was a very powerful scene. We see those creatures show back up as Anakin's kind of regaining consciousness, if I remember correctly. The one thing I laughed is as these creatures are kind of running up, they just have this like shit-eating like grin on their face, or like that's at least how they're designed, and I just found that really funny. But they are, I believe, Rex takes them out, if I remember correctly. I don't have it in my notes.
Yeah, he does.
Mhm.
He
Okay.
takes at least one of them out.
He shoots
Okay.
it in like
Yeah, he
the head.
Yeah, so they save Anakin. Anakin is then brought back to the Lurmen village to be healed by Wagto. And then the episode kind of ends. Aayla and Ahsoka are talking. They're just looking out into the distance. I love the like closing shot of this episode of them just
Same.
looking out and just seeing the planet. And I just
It's
I
so
just
damn
love the
good.
look of Mara Dune. It's just a great ending shot. So yeah, overall, this episode I thought was pretty good. I wouldn't call it like stellar, but I loved seeing more of Aayla Secura. I loved the design of the planet, and I loved the score. Big Lion King vibes for just the look and everything. And then getting to see this being Katie Lucas's first work on the show, and knowing that she writes way more episodes down the line, and just seeing how she is just following in the footsteps of her father. I really enjoyed that. And honestly, if they bring her back to write an episode of one of the new shows, I would be completely fine with it. But I don't know if she's interested in that or not. But I mean, I enjoy it off the top of my head. I enjoy most of her work. So what did you guys think about this one?
I
Really good.
I really liked the episode. Like I said, I think the thing I enjoy the most about it is like the way it kind of gently challenges the Jedi's whole ideology, and like it doesn't condemn it, but it also challenges some of the more like stuck in their ways aspects. And like, but what I also like is that it's not one-sided, it's not heavy-handed. It's kind of like a good comparison would be like Captain America Civil War, where it presents these different sides of an argument, or these different perspectives, but it doesn't really provide the definitive answer, because it wants the audience to kind of engage with the subject matter and just try and think about like the different perspectives and like the flaws, the pros and cons of each perspective. But yeah, good episode, really good episode.
Yeah, I really like how it points out like the flaws of the Jedi of the time, because like a lot of what they're talking about is like what the Jedi are supposed to be and what they used to be. But now it's like the Jedi are like, I swing my glow sword and kill everybody.
Yeah.
And, like,
It's
fight
like
for the Republic, who's all fucking corrupt and shit. So
the whole Clone Wars and the prequels is like a direct contradiction of Mace Windu's "We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers" line from Attack of the Clones. If I
And then Palpatine
said
just
it correctly, and then he's
corrupts
like, "No, you're
Mace
not."
Windu to the point of him saying he's too dangerous to be left alive.
Yeah, it's like I see what you're doing there.
I feel like we don't talk enough about how fucked up the war made Mace.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Poor dude.
We don't really.
Hopefully we'll see like
we should
see the comparison like in Tales of the Jedi of just like how much more grounded Mace Windu was before the Clone Wars, and how like
we see from the one shot where Dooku's about to axe the guy and Mace is like, Dooku,
stand down.
He does the Grand Inquisitor. Just stops the saber.
Stand down, third sister.
Hello.
hello.
But I think we can move on to our second episode, Defenders of Peace, which was directed by Stuart Lee, Clone Wars regular director. It was written by Bill Canterbury. Katie Lucas only wrote the first episode of this arc. The moral of the episode is, when surrounded by war, one must eventually choose a side. And that's kind of the theme that we have throughout this episode in a way, because we still see Tewaka like stick to his nonviolent perspective, but when the Separatists arrive, they have to make, or his people have to make a choice of whether they're just going to stand back and have their village and themselves be destroyed, or if they're going to aid the Republic. So the Separatists arrive just straight up at the beginning, and Tewaka is like, "Oh, we're just going to surrender." I'm like, "You bitch!" Like, just immediately.
Yeah, he was like, "We'd rather die than fight," and it's like, why?
His other people probably like, you're not speaking for us.
For all of us.
His own son like reacts literally that way. And this is the thing about this episode that also makes it really good, is because we've said about like you know, how it presents these different perspectives, and it doesn't like condemn either side. But then like this episode comes along, and it doesn't condemn Teotihuacan's pacifism, but it also kind of shows that the tragic inevitability of war is that, you know, that yes, there will be people who will respect your pacifism if you choose not to take life, not to pursue a course of violence, but there are alternately those who will not, who won't care. And we see that when the separatists arrive, because Teotihuacan thinks he can just, by surrendering, then there'll be no consequences. And the mistake he makes is that, like, General Lockdurd, the separatist in charge, does not care. He doesn't see people. He doesn't see the value of human life. He just sees like assets to experiment on to further his own gain. Like there's no compassion there. There's just selfishness and greed with this guy.
He's also not my boy Newt Gunray.
Yeah.
I
Yo,
love him.
fuck
Let-
Lockdurd.
Let's talk
All
about
my homies
Lockdurd
hate
for a
Lockdurd.
second. Let's
I
talk
love
about
to hate Lockdurd.
this is another
Boy's last name is
installment.
Durd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is another installment of my new favorite segment called This is Definitely a George Lucas Character, if I've ever heard of one. You have a fat Nemoidian general voiced by George Takei. Like,
How
that
dope
is such
that?
a
That-
George like it's the same thing as I'm gonna get Ron Perlman to voice a Trandoshan junk dealer that just
Rips ass.
rips
all
ass
the
every
time.
5 seconds. I'm gonna bring in George Takei to be like the biggest like slimy Nemoidian general that there is,
I am General Lockdurd of the
and it's gonna
Separatist
be
Alliance.
George Takei. I'm like, okay, sweet, thanks,
I
George.
love the like debauched laugh he has as this guy. Like
Fucking
when he
hate
sees
him.
when he
I
sees
can't
the village and
stand
he goes,
him.
ransack this dung heap. I was like I remember watching that as like a 14-year-old and being like, you bitch.
It's like, I don't like you at all,
I do
sir.
not like of all the Neimoidians, I hate you the most.
Yeah. Again, you know, when you read Brotherhood and they talk about, you know, the perception that Nemoidians have in the galaxy, it's like, you know, it's because we keep getting characters like this that represent their people.
Not my
So,
boy
like,
Newt.
We get
Yeah.
we get Newt and Lockdurd. So that's and also like that one
Lockdod.
senator who is Lockdod.
Lockdod.
The
Galti
slippery bastard.
Dauphine. So
Yeah, I don't like this guy.
yeah, fuck
Um,
Lockdurd.
All he
the
cares about is
separate-
that promotion.
yeah, the
I
separatists
also love, like,
immediately.
the reason he was thought up is like I remember Dave Filoni talking in the behind the scenes thing is that they thought Lockdurd up in part because they needed like one-off villains to get their asses kicked by the Jedi because they were like, you know, if Ventress and Grievous keep losing, then they're not going to feel threatening at all. We need other villains to lose, and they just come up with this guy, and it's like, which I'm glad because I like that
We'll
Ventress
have
and
it
Grievous
be
will have.
Sulu from Star Trek voicing him.
Yeah.
and Dave's
And then
like,
George,
"All right,
yeah, just make sure his voice is like a fat Neimoidian. Like I always love how slimy those guys are.
So the separatists immediately just ransack the village, take control of the planet, and like Teotihuacan's like, oh, this is fine. Like they're saving us. They're protecting our people. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Like he's so in his way. And we even, like I said, at the end, he sort of kind of gets off of his high horse at the end, but not fully. And he's still like stuck in his way of we cannot fight. Like we are that pacifist that we can't even fight back. And if it means that our people die, then so be it. And I'm like, I don't agree with that. But I guess that's just what they were trying to tell with like what pacifism means during war.
But it also
Yeah.
kind of like shows the consequence of sometimes being a little too stuck in your ways. And it also kind of like, we also kind of see like why the Jedi feel they have to fight. And I feel like this doesn't endorse the Jedi's world, like perspective, the Clone Wars Jedi perspective, because we know it's inherently flawed, but we also see like why the Jedi have to, like, in a way have to fight, because like if they don't, then people will die, and there are people who do not respect like the Jedi's ways or the peaceful ways of the Lurmen that just want to further themselves. Like that's what you get with Lockdurd. he solely wants to progress his rank. Like there's that bit where later on where he's like, oh, when the weapon test is complete, I will be promoted to a more substantial position. And like, by the way, the battle droid that reacts to that is one of the most hilarious battle droid jokes. The droid's just like, okay, right.
Right.
The droid's like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Beautiful.
We get promotions all the time.
I have that line in my notes, and I just wrote it with so many L's and T's. I'm like, okay, well, right.
This guy's a weirdo.
But the Jedi, they're looking around the planet, and they eventually do discover a giant separatist base already on the planet, and this new weapon that could.
Yeah, how the hell did that get there?
I don't know how that got there, but
Would they just like bloop, like drop it?
They just delivered it right there. It's like, all right, this base already made. This weapon that's has potential to kill everything, already there. Now, this speech that Lockdoor gives to the battle droids very much Hux Starkiller Base Force Awakens vibes for me. Even the shot that they use of like the droids panning out looked exactly like the shot of the clone troopers on Starkiller Base watching his speech.
Maybe JJ watched like 30 seconds of Clone Wars.
30 seconds.
The only difference here is like instead of the like very obvious Nazi-esque salute, we have like the droids like going, "Yay, Roger, Roger,
yeah." I love looking at that shot too because they have like 2 animations and they just repeat them. So it's like you skip over a droid and like 2 of them are going like this, and then like the other 2 are going like this, and like that's it.
Perfect. That's all you need.
They're robots. They're robots, so like they can get away with it.
Yeah. I
don't remember what happened here. I think they were on a tree because I pointed out like I thought it was really, really cool how Bly was saved by Aayla Secura, but I don't remember what happened. Does anyone remember?
Yeah, Rex.
He shoots his thing, but he trips. And then
yeah.
she cuts the vine and like
because they were going to investigate, and then when they blew up the missile or whatever it was, she had to like swing down. Like
it was such a cool scene.
Yeah, like imagine Ezra's like in the world between worlds, and he sees that moment, and he's like, oh, you know, Ahsoka, I could just go back and like warn her. Like she really doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, no, that was so cool. And then just seeing like Anakin beaten up this whole episode, and like how much do you think it cost just for like that Anakin having the wrap around his head? Like,
see, I was so mad because we could have gotten shirtless Anakin if they wanted to fully reanimate the top half of his body, but they didn't, and instead just put bandages over his clothes and on his forehead.
Yeah,
we should have shirtless Anakin.
If it was live action, he would almost certainly be shirtless. I'm trying not to simp that hard
this episode, man. Like,
I'm gonna draw that. I'm gonna draw battle damage with the bandaged shirtless Anakin from this episode. It's canon now.
Lovely. But this weapon is just absolutely like messed up. So it's designed so like perfect for the Separatists. All wildlife is damaged and like pretty much destroyed, but droids are not affected at all. So this is like absolutely perfect for the Separatists, and they plan to test it out on the village and just completely disintegrate the Lurmen. And I'm like, okay, this guy is evil.
Yeah,
this guy is literally evil as hell.
This is what I mean. Like he does not care. He doesn't see the cost of these lives. He just sees like, oh yeah, look, these people are peaceful, so like they're ideal specimens to like test this weapon on. I also love like when he contacts Count Dooku, like he says, oh, I have found a perfect place to test my, and then Dooku just like narrows his eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, our new weapon. And it also like, again, we have Last Jedi vibes here with like the super weapon that's like mounted on a cannon. Because you have the miniaturized Death Star tech on Crate.
I didn't think about that.
They just had to squeeze in a Dooku appearance in this arc. It's like, we got to get one recognizable Separatist in here. There's a really, when they're like infiltrating the base, there is a really cool shot of Ahsoka like taking out the droids, but you just see her silhouette.
Yeah,
I had to point. That was
and the fact that the lightsabers have shadows.
Yeah, the lightsabers have shadows.
That was really cool. I love.
It's such an underrated detail to me. I always forget that. Like it never hits me. And then I think like on Twitter, maybe like 2 days after I watched the episode, someone specifically pointed out like, oh yeah, lightsabers have shadows. And I'm like, oh wait, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Like,
I
no,
love that
was...
one shot of Ayla like running, just like slicing through the droids. It's very cool.
Yeah,
like the
it
whole
was
stealth
badass.
sequences. Yeah,
It was
I
just
love
like,
that
Badass.
stealth sequence.
like we never get to see Jedi like stealth take out people, so this was neat. This is very new
Mm-hmm.
at the
Meets
time.
So-
Jedi meets Assassin's Creed.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
there's like that one battle droid. There's those 3 battle droids in the command center, like, and they're just getting taken off one by one. Like, and then Rex is a little too slow, and and the droid's like, "Hey, who are you?"
Yeah.
That's the thing. I remember, like, when the Clone Wars first came out, I remember reading reviews, and all the reviewers were like so harsh on the battle droid humor, and I'm like, I never got that because I've always loved the battle droid humor. I know it's goofy, but
hilarious.
it's like it's
No, it
just, it's
aged
funny.
super well.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Mm.
Like, especially like some of the stuff that we pointed out in like random arcs. Like, I just think it really like helps bring together, especially more darker episodes of like getting that little bit of light in there. Like when there was the droid humor in Lair of Grievous, like it was a super duper dark episode, but then they had a couple moments of droid humor that were just hilarious to me. I think it was Lair of
I
Grievous.
feel like
Maybe
the
it was
show
Book of
and like
Darkness.
Revenge of the Sith really needed it too, because if you didn't
Yeah.
have those, like
It would be very.
if they
depressing.
all functioned the way they did in like Phantom Menace, when it's like, you know, they're like bringing fucking like civilians of Naboo to concentration camps basically, and they're like, Captain, take them to Camp 4. Like if they all sounded like that, they'd be terrifying.
Yeah, no. Like they really like made a good call of changing their voice, because I think
Yeah.
it works. And then Matthew Wood is just the work of art, bringing them all to life. I think he
Yeah,
should
you-
get just as much credit as D. Bradley Baker does at points.
And you still
for
have
bringing
like
the droids
threatening.
together.
You still have threatening droids as well. Like you have
Oh, yeah.
the commando droids,
The
and you
commando
have-
droids are terrifying.
and you have the super battle droids as well.
Such
even
a
while
fantastic
their humor.
design.
Not the
Oh,
fucking tactical droids. I hate those.
No, I
fucking
hate those
things.
bad. They showed up in Jedi Crash, and I got pissed. I
Yeah.
was like, God
This is
damn
the-
it!
It's like, no,
You didn't-
why are you here?
Sir, all our troops on board will be lost. I don't care.
Literally. Oh my god.
Like that, I'm gonna just. I don't like them at
But-
all.
I hate
They've got
them.
weird midsections.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all look like they're like sticking their chest out.
Don't. I don't like them. We cut back to the village, and Wagto's trying to convince his father that the Separatists are going to come for them, and they're bringing this weapon, and he still is like, nope, we're going to die then. I'm like,
You can see
Bro!
the look on
There's a-
Wagtu's face when his dad walks away, and he's just like, "Did my dad just condemn us all to
Yeah,
die?
yeah.
I don't
One of my
want to die."
favorite quotes is I think this is when Ahsoka's talking with Wag2, and he says, "Many others agree with me, but we were raised under a very strict code. We must respect it even if we don't agree." And I'm like, gee, that sounds familiar.
a cult.
Sounds like a
That's
cult.
also-
Yeah.
The
Sounds like
Jedi.
the Jedi.
I wonder if like the episode's trying to make a comparison.
Trying to make a. I love the title of this episode, by the way, Defenders of Peace. Like, it really means a lot for this episode in general. But yeah, so the Jedi arrive, and Tewaka is still like, nope, we're not leaving. If they're going to destroy us, he literally says, if it's our destiny to be destroyed in your way, so be it.
Yeah, and
Like,
that was the point. That was the point where I was like, "Nah, dude, you're cracking. You've gone too far now." Like,
You see that weapon right there? Like, they're very clearly charging it, so you die. You want to
It's
run
like
away?
very-
No,
you'll
All right.
die like very violently. No, I'm all right.
I'm all right. Yeah, I again, this is where I put he's given off the old man yelling at cloud energy. So they eventually, I think the Jedi put up like shields to save them. So they fire the weapon, and then the shields, which gave me very like Battle of Naboo vibes.
Yeah.
It might be the same type of shield, but like just the way it looked and everything, I really enjoyed it. Very Phantom Menace like esque, like this whole scene here. And then the Wagto is finally like, nope, I've had enough, and him and a group of the Lurmen help the Jedi out and take out the droids.
That
because
droid
the shield-
takedown when Ahsoka like runs through and just slices all of their heads when they fall down.
great.
There's like a
'Cause
shot of like two Lurmen just like jumping up and down, like banging a droid on the head with like it's the most adorable thing. It's just like
Because
they
the
just
shield
like, say-
generators go down, so all the droids are coming there and like, all right, no, we're gonna save him. But the dad is still like, nope, I'm pissed. I'm not doing anything.
It's like I forbid this. And like and his son's like, I don't care. I wanna live.
I noticed like Wagto is still the only one doing like that roll thing. I'm like, is he the only one that learned how to do it?
It's a
Like
special skill.
that's the special like healing like healer Lurmens can do the roll, and then none of the other ones can. They're not cool enough. But
Healer Lurmen that can throw these hands.
throw these hands exactly. It's like I'll heal, but I'll also hurt. And then it's a pretty cool scene. Anakin ends up disabling the weapon. Lockdart is captured. We get there goes my promotion. By,
and then he says no, and this is one of the stupidest but funniest lines ever. Help! I'll be defoliated.
Yeah. The way he's just running away too and slowly starts to float up and his stubby little legs are like
And he just floats there.
God.
Anakin's just like standing there like, you dude,
What a-
this is a
what a-
very embarrassing
what a
time for you.
bitch.
it's
I hope
so
he died a
embarrassing for
horrible
you.
death.
Does he show up in any other episodes, or is
I
it
don't think
just
so.
This
Oh,
is it.
that's it. That's like one scene.
Yeah.
Like also,
Um,
this episode
good
was a
riddance.
really good showing for Anakin as well. I gotta say, like in terms of his morality, because like we actually get to see Anakin behave like a mature Jedi here, as opposed to like being the abrasive one under Obi-Wan or like another Jedi. Like he actually is the one who's mature enough to say, no, we're not gonna drag the Lurmen into our war. If they don't want to get involved, we have to respect that because we're not the bad guys. And but then when he sees the weapon, he's like, well, now things have changed. Now we have to
help
defend.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's that
Right.
really cool line where he says to Ahsoka, there's a difference between dragging innocents into a war and leaving them to extinction, which is just like, I feel like that sums up the moral really and shows kind of why the Jedi have been forced into this conflict.
It's really cool seeing Anakin's like wiser side and like even how like so early into the war it's already affecting him so much. Because like
no, definitely.
yeah, I feel like that's almost something I wish Clone Wars had touched on more aggressively than they did. Was like as a whole how it like if it weren't for the war, Anakin would have been entirely different and probably wouldn't have fallen to the dark side. But like this whole thing just like it wizened him, but it also like kind of traumatized him too.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that.
I mean,
one...
we see it with the fucking like the one arc that I think really does him in is the Reiko Hardin arc.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that messes him up for good.
Yeah,
like, I wish they touched a bit more on like the tension that episode caused between Anakin and Obi-Wan and the Council.
Yeah, the Council as a whole definitely.
They just like keep working together like after that, and it's like pretty much fine. But like that really messed him up. Like seeing his own master die right in front of him, and then having to find out that it was just a plan that he had to get kept out of because they knew his emotions would ruin the mission. Which is, if I heard that, I'd be like, okay, no, I'm leaving you guys. Sorry,
fuck all that. Like,
yeah. But no, I forgot to point out like that one shot in this episode of Ahsoka, Anakin, Ayla, Bly, and Rex like going to fight the droids. Such a cool like
defending the shield
shot. Like it's such a cool shot.
It's a really cool shot. And the whole battle is like really fun as well. Like
really
how they
fun
have to survive waves of battle droids.
With the waves, that was awesome.
What's cool about it, like this is the thing I love about this episode, is that this episode is like a classic Star Wars story, but like done slightly differently, because you got these scrappy band of good guys fight in this like overly mechanized, seemingly superior force, and they triumph because of their ingenuity, whereas like the droids, much like the Empire, are like just overwhelming force with no ingenuity, and yet the Jedi, because they're resourceful and clever and inventive, they get to win, which is it's just cool. But it also does that whole it does something of a like, well, it's probably one of the Clone Wars stories that is the first to like really delve into like to really feel like a war story, because it deals with kind of like the plight of innocents who have no part in the war, and like it kind of
brings
deals
civilians
with
into it.
it deals, because oftentimes the most like the biggest, as history kind of shows, like the biggest casualties in war are going to be innocent civilians who want no part of the conflict. And this really kind of gives those people a voice in a sense, and like you get to see all the conflicting feelings and the different perspectives, and it's just really neat.
Yeah. Thankfully, we didn't get to see any of the Lurmen die. Like that would have been kind of heartbreaking.
I would have been traumatized. Like,
but who knows? Maybe right after this episode, Dooku just went back down, brought another one of those weapons.
Oh, that would be such a Dooku thing to do.
If we go back to Maridon for an episode of the Bad Batch and all the Lurmen have been like enslaved,
we just see like a severed Lurmen tail in the background.
Like the foundations and like the bare bones of like what was left behind. Everything is just destroyed.
Yeah, like they just go there with Ahsoka, and Ahsoka just like picks up like one of the like baskets or hats that they had and just like looks really sad.
Nope. Not happening. Nope.
Now, if I see Tewak Ka's corpse, I'd be all right. I'd be
fine.
I'd be like, all right.
Dooku probably showed up, and Dooku would be like, "I'm gonna kill you," and he was like, "Okay, then do it." And then he dies.
It's like, you know how like there was that like thing that JJ when he was making the Force Awakens, he was like, I was gonna put Jar Jar's skeleton in like the Jakku desert, but I was like, no. If I make a Star Wars movie,
JJ
I'm gonna have Tewak Ka's skeleton.
I'm still sore at JJ Abrams for that comment. I'm not gonna lie. I'm so glad he got talked out of that.
I'm so glad because that would have been like a massive, and that and the him wanting to blow up Coruscant instead of the Hosnian system. That would have. I would.
Well, when you start the whole first movie with this would begin to make things right. Like, no, it won't, bro. You'll
not gonna lie.
If
Coruscant did get blown up, that would have been ballsy as fuck, and I would have respected it.
Oh, it would have been ballsy. It would have been ballsy, but like at the same time.
But like also at the same time, I don't want Coruscant to be destroyed.
Well, at that point, like with how prequel hate was at that point, people would have cheered it. But now,
prequel hate was like at its peak in 2015.
Like it says how pronounced prequel hate was that like when I first watched that in cinemas, I was convinced. Like when Starkiller Base lit up, I was like, "Oh no! Did he just destroy all the prequel planets? Did he like wipe out?"
I thought he did.
I so thought he did, and when I heard like the Hosnian system mentioned, I was like so relieved.
Yeah,
I was like, no, you better not.
Well, you know why? Is because they cut that whole little subplot with Leia and
Maisie Richardson Sellers' character. Yeah, whose name I can't remember.
Right, and that would have gotten us all attached to Hosni and the people on it in a way, and then they cut that for some reason.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't because it's
like
seemed
Revenge
really
of the
interesting.
Sith.
It was a really good subplot.
Was it 10,000?
Yeah.
I'm still furious that's not in the movie.
No reason to cut that out. Like, just make your movies longer, bro.
I hope that's referenced into Andor.
It would have added
I'm sure it will be
5 more minutes to the movie. Like
if that, you can watch all the deleted scenes on YouTube, and I think it ends up being like 5-6 minutes. Yeah,
it should have been in there, and it would have made the Padme and Bale watching Palpatine turn into the Empire more powerful because we would have had those scenes beforehand. All right, but yeah, time to get off my high horse here. As for these episodes, so Tewak Ka, like kind of at the end, like lessens his extremism, but also not in a way. He's still like, oh, thank God you were there, but also I don't really like you, Jedi. I'm like, so this is how we're ending the episode. Nice. So overall, like again, I liked this episode. I think I liked Jedi Crash a bit more. I liked the story of pacifism, and I loved Aayla Secura having more of a role. But like, I don't see me eagerly going to rewatch these anytime soon. But I feel like I might be in the minority here. I feel like you guys like these way more than I did.
I used to rewatch these two a fuck ton as a kid. Like for some reason, they were like 2 of my favorite episodes to go back and revisit. I really don't know why, to be honest with you. But I did. Like I watched, like I think it was the DVD of season 1. And I would just watch these 2 like constantly.
Well, we know why Conor watched these. Constantly.
There's a lot of insight into them, so they're really good.
Don't try to get us philosophical on us right now, Conor. We know.
Plus, Aayla Secura, so
yeah.
Aayla Secura is a big draw for Conor for sure.
Yeah. So if I had to pick a favorite for this arc, I would go with Jedi Crash. I just thought that was the more fun episode, but I thought they were both decent.
Yeah, same
I
here.
actually-
I'd say they're pretty even, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I think they're pretty even. I think Jedi Crash just inches it over the line for me because I think the way the ideologies are handled is perhaps a little more delicate.
Mhm.
Whereas, like, maybe Tiwaka in the later episode is perhaps a little too extreme. Like, if he maybe had a little more nuance, like he does in the earlier episodes, because like the way he behaves in this episode, like you would almost think that he didn't want Anakin anywhere near the village at all, and he would have just wanted them all to clear off. But like in that episode, when Ahsoka mentions that Anakin's injured, he softens and he shows like layers by being like, "Well, I can't refuse a call for help. I will help you." So like it does clash a little bit, but it does win it back a little bit for me by the end when they have that really powerful ending of him saying, "Oh, well, perhaps we do owe you thanks, but I still wonder at what cost." And then you see
I
the
think that
Star
might just be
Destroyers.
because
Yeah.
but
It's
I
slow-
think that might just be because two different people wrote these episodes.
Yeah,
Maybe
Mhm.
Katie
definitely
Lucas'
is.
portrayal of Tewaka
yeah, slight
a bit better
incongruency.
than
I feel like Katie Lucas has a lot more sympathy for Tewaka than the other writer did. Definitely.
Yeah,
But
I
that
will
ending
agree with you there.
really, really brings it home with like the Star Destroyers pulling in and him looking kind of like sadly at this because like
I'll never forget.
the
I
thing.
always thought that was a really happy moment as a kid, and rewatching those episodes, I was like,
yeah.
Oh,
no, this isn't good.
shit."
Like the Republic has found this planet now, and this is basically now been drawn into the war irrevocably.
And not gonna
So, like,
lie, that sort of shot of them going over, and it was like them looking up, kind of reminded me of what Sam wrote in Siege of Lasan.
Ooh. Oh yeah, we got to plug Siege of Lasan and the whole Starbirds
Yep.
Yeah,
initiative.
we'll do that at the end for sure because you guys have had a lot of SWEF announcements since our last episode. Yeah, but
Yeah.
overall, it was a solid arc, except for
Yep.
Lockdurd. He can
Fuck
die.
Lockdurd. All
Yeah,
my
yeah.
homies hate Lockdurd.
he can be defoliated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No promotion for you, sir. So next time we are going to be talking about Trespass, which is the first episode that the Pantorans show up in, which is going to be hype. But we're not just going to be talking about that one. We're going to do some fun stuff that we're going to figure out, and I think you guys will enjoy the episode. And then after that, we've got Blue Shadow Virus as we're getting closer.
Blue
to
Shadow
the end of season one.
Virus.
Which I'm so hyped for because that is one of the ones that I really do rewatch a lot from this season.
Happy
So I
go
think
with
that
my
just-
glove shitto.
That episode's going to play so different now that we've had COVID.
Oh god.
Oh yeah, I've rewatched it since, and I'm like, this is a little on the nose
Too
here.
much.
A little too much on the nose. But I think that just about does it for our episode here. I hope you enjoyed our D23 coverage and our Clone Wars talks as always. So, as I just pointed out, my three co-hosts right here are all a part of Star Wars Editor Fiction, or SWEF. We talk about it a lot on here. It's a group of fan stories coming together. I talked with Austin on our first episode of Galactic Senate Sit-Downs, which I completely forgot to plug. And we went into a lot of like how that came to be in that episode too.
I do
But
need to check that episode out.
It's very fun.
You do.
But, yeah. But if you guys just want to talk about some of the new stuff that have been announced, go right ahead.
Yeah, I'll talk first because I was just on last week the Wayseekers podcast that Austin does with Tom and Chelsea, who are both part of the SWEF stuff. We got to announce when some new stories are coming out, what some of the future might have. We got to talk about all like the writing processes and working together because it's like a really, really huge team of writers. And so I'm just going to say, go listen to that. I'm not really going to talk about what we talked about because it was the super fun episode and I want everyone to go watch it.
Yeah, I'm really looking
But,
forward
yeah.
to watching that. So,
It's really fun.
all
It
right.
was
And then
super fun.
is Siege of Lasan the one that just came out, or is
So
that?
as of, well, we are recording now on Monday. So as of today, Monday, which I don't know when this will release, a couple days from now. So Starbirds, which is the culmination of the whole initiative, released. So now all 5 stories are out. They were done by a lot of really, really great writers. and I did the covers for all of them.
They're all
So, yeah.
really good, both
And
both
then-
the stories and the covers.
I know you guys just announced a Ventress one too, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, Connor,
Yes.
you on that side. Yeah, talk about that one.
The writer Katrina Dennis. Katrina contacted me about like coming onto the team and writing for SWEF, and I'm like, sure, let me talk to Austin. So I talked to Austin, told him, and then he contacted Katrina, and she's now on the team, and she's writing a Ventress story called Ventress Golden, and it's coming out November 12th.
That's so exciting. I am very much looking forward to that. Now that we talked about SWEF, I think we can sign out of here. So where can the good people find you?
Twitter at Depa Banana. Nerd Academy podcast, where I also talk Star Wars, specifically Knights of the Nerd Republic. We haven't had an episode in a while because of just life stuff. We're hoping to get back to it. We're hoping to get Christina Ariel on. Like, I'm just going to say that right now. We're hoping to get her on Knights of the Nerd Republic because it probably will happen at some point.
Get her on here too.
Okay.
That would be incredible. Just for the record.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I got it.
I want to
got
talk to Christina. She's awesome.
I got the connection. I'll do it.
Get your connections. Get them.
Where else? Oh, SWEF. I have a story coming out, The Hidden Kyber. It's set shortly after the events of Fallen Order, and it stars Seer Junda and Cal Kestis. Yeah, that's it. That's all I can say about that story.
All right. Don, where can the people find you?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Donovan Mead, where I tweet a bunch of things, like tweet about Star Wars primarily, also politics, like some Marvel stuff. And you can also find me, like with Conor and Jake, as a writer on sweditor.ig.com/fiction. Like I wrote Scars of War, came out a few months ago, and I've got some other stories coming down the pipeline as well, which is very exciting.
And this guy right here.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter at JediJake_. I tweet about pretty much the same things as like Don, like Star Wars, sometimes politics. Sometimes I talk about Marvel, but not really lately because none of it's been catching my interest. But I work at Star Wars Editor Fiction. I do writing. I have a comic coming out next month. I have a short story coming out in January and a novel coming out in February. And then more stuff later, but we'll talk about that later.
This man's
Perfect.
booked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can also find him screaming about the volume on Twitter as well.
Hey, I've been pretty mild about it lately. I thought the Kenobi stuff looked really good. They just, had really shitty cinematography.
Yeah. And you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch at Starlight Andrew. You can subscribe to the new For the Republic YouTube channel, which you are watching us in glorious video form. You can also find us wherever you can get your podcasts. Check out the first episode of Galactic Senate Sit Downs with Austin. We're going to be doing that once a month. I'm excited to share some of the guests I have booked very soon. And then you can follow the podcast on Twitter at For the Repub Pod and on Instagram at For the Republic Pod. So join us next time. And until then, may the Force be with you always.